All right, get ready, because today we're diving deep into a discovery, that really shook up how we think about the timeline of, well, civilization itself.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Imagine a site so old it makes Stonehenge look, I don't know, like it was built yesterday.
Practically brand new.
Exactly. We're talking Göbekli Tepe.
Ah, Göbekli, yeah,
And you're going to understand why it's called, well, archaeology's biggest enigma.
definitely one of them. What's so captivating about Göbekli, I think, is that it dates back to um, a period known as the pre-pottery Neolithic. So we're talking around 12,000 years ago.
Wow.
To put that into perspective, think about it. You're looking at a time way before the invention of pottery, metal tools, even the wheel.
So, I mean, what did these early innovators leave behind? I mean, I've seen pictures, and let me tell you, they weren't just, doodling in the dirt.
No,
These
no.
people erected massive T-shaped pillars, some weighing up to 20 tons, arranged in these perfectly circular enclosures.
Yeah.
It's like they had a blueprint and a construction crew that would rival, the best of today.
Absolutely, and that's precisely what makes Göbekli so groundbreaking. It really challenges the kind of the traditional narrative about the capabilities of hunter-gatherer societies. I mean, we used to think of them as, small nomadic groups focused just on survival, but Göbekli shows us, reveals a level of social organization and technological prowess that, well, we just didn't expect to find this early.
Yeah, it's almost like those aliens built the pyramids theories, but for a much, much older time. Of
Yeah.
course, I know from your notes that there's zero evidence to support anything, extraterrestrial here.
Exactly. And that's where the real intrigue lies, I think. The source material talks about how the site was constructed using, locally sourced limestone, which is, relatively easy to work with.
Yeah.
But even so, you got to imagine quarrying, transporting, carving these massive stones using only stone tools.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Wow. It makes you wonder, how did they coordinate such a massive project? I mean, did they have some kind of hierarchical society? Were there master craftsmen kind of leading the way?
That's one of the big questions that archaeologists are trying to figure out, right? The sheer scale, the complexity of Göbekli Tepe, it suggests a level of planning, coordination that goes way beyond anything we thought about with hunter-gatherer groups.
Right.
And remember, this isn't just one structure.
Right.
We're talking multiple enclosures, each with its own unique set of pillars and carvings.
Well, and speaking of those carvings, I mean, they're not just some random scratches on a rock, are they?
No.
I mean, we're talking intricate depictions of animals, abstract symbols, even what look like, stylized human forms.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like walking into a prehistoric art gallery.
I love that. That's a great way to put it.
It really...
And that's where the debate about the purpose of Göbekli, that's where it gets really interesting. The source material, it kind of lays out three main theories.
Yeah.
Shelter, temple, astronomical calendar.
Okay, so let's start with the shelter theory.
Okay, so shelter. Some researchers think that Göbekli served as like a central meeting point, so maybe a base camp for these nomadic groups. And the fact that there are smaller, kind of similar sites nearby, that kind of supports this idea.
So like a prehistoric town square.
Yeah, kind of. A place where different groups could come together, maybe trade, socialize, even find mates. Who knows?
Yeah.
But then we have the temple theory.
All right.
And this focuses more on the carvings.
Yeah.
Especially the animal motifs.
Right.
Imagine, rituals being performed amidst these towering pillars, under the open sky.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. But were they actually worshiping these animals, or is that, are we reading too much into it? Because the source material mentions that there's debate about whether the art is purely naturalistic or symbolic.
That's a really good point. And it shows, how tricky it can be to interpret archaeological evidence.
Right.
So some researchers believe that the animals represent, deities, totems, something like that, while others say, well, maybe they were just representations of the natural world, just things that were important to these early people.
Okay, so we got shelter, temple. What about the astronomical calendar theory?
All right, so
I'm picturing some kind of prehistoric Stonehenge.
Well, it's not quite Stonehenge, but there are some interesting elements that maybe suggest they were, observing the stars and the seasons and things. The source material mentions possible alignments within the structures, and these might line up with, solstices, equinoxes, things like that.
So they were using these massive stone structures to track the seasons.
It's possible.
That's incredible.
And it really emphasizes that deep connection between early humans and the natural world.
Yeah,
I mean, think about it. It would have been so important for hunter-gatherers to understand the cycles of nature.
absolutely.
When to plant, when to harvest, when to move to a new hunting ground.
This is blowing my mind. And we're just getting started.
Yeah, we're just scratching the surface.
Wow.
There's so much more to uncover. Welcome back to our deep dive into Göbekli Tepe.
I'm still grappling with the fact that these hunter-gatherers, I mean, were able to actually construct something so monumental.
It's
It's like flipping through a history textbook and finding a page ripped out of the future,
Yeah.
How did they manage this feat without the tools and technologies we typically associate with large-scale construction?
Yeah, it's a question that continues to baffle researchers. The source material emphasizes that the construction of Göbekli Tepe would have required a level of cooperation and ingenuity that really challenges our preconceived notions about early human societies.
Right.
Remember, no metal tools, no wheels. They didn't even have a written language to guide them.
Yeah. And yet they managed to quarry, transport, and meticulously carve these massive stones,
Oh,
some weighing as much as 20 tons.
it's amazing.
It's mind-boggling to imagine the sheer manpower and coordination involved.
Well, yeah, imagine like a whole community coming together generation after generation to create something that transcended their individual lives,
Right.
I mean, it speaks to a level of social cohesion, like a shared purpose that we rarely see in modern society.
I'm particularly intrigued by the source material's suggestion that the construction techniques at Göbekli Tepe might reveal clues about the social structure of these early communities.
Right.
Is it possible that the site itself reflects a hierarchy with skilled artisans or leaders guiding the process?
Yeah, it's a compelling hypothesis. Some archaeologists think that the layout of the enclosures, with their carefully positioned pillars, the intricate carvings,
Right.
that it might indicate a level of social stratification. So perhaps certain individuals or groups, maybe they held like specialized knowledge or they played leadership roles in the construction process.
And it makes me wonder if Göbekli was more than just a physical structure. Could it have been a symbol of their collective identity, a testament to their shared beliefs and aspirations?
Yeah, that's a fascinating thought. Remember, we're talking about a period when humans were undergoing this profound transformation.
Right.
The source material highlights that Göbekli Tepe was built like right around the time that the agricultural revolution was taking root.
So could this site be a snapshot of that pivotal moment, a time when humans were transitioning from a nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyle
Yeah.
to a more settled existence based on agriculture?
It's certainly possible, and if we consider those purpose theories we talked about, we can kind of see how they might, intersect with this societal shift.
Right.
So maybe Göbekli Tepe served as like a meeting point for different groups who were starting to, experiment with agriculture,
Right.
exchanging knowledge, resources.
Yeah, that ties in nicely with the shelter theory.
Right.
But what about the temple theory? How does that fit into the picture?
Well, imagine a community right on the cusp of a major lifestyle change. The shift to agriculture that would brought about new challenges,
Right.
new anxieties,
Right.
and perhaps even a need to reaffirm their connection to the natural world.
So maybe Göbekli became a place where they sought guidance, performed rituals, and honored the animals that played such a crucial role in their lives.
Exactly, precisely. And if we look closely at those animal carvings, we can see how they might have held this deep symbolic meaning for these early people.
Right.
The source material describes, depictions of aurochs, foxes, snakes, all kinds of birds,
Right.
all meticulously, rendered in stone.
I was particularly struck by the image of a wild boar carved onto one of the pillars.
Yeah.
It's so lifelike, so full of energy. I can almost hear it snorting.
Yeah, I know what you mean, that visceral reaction you're describing. It's precisely what makes Göbekli Tepe so compelling.
Right.
It allows us to connect with our distant ancestors on an emotional level.
Right.
We can imagine them gazing upon those same carvings, perhaps feeling that same awe and wonder.
It makes you wonder what what stories they told about those animals,
Yeah.
what beliefs they held, what fears and hopes they carried.
I know. And that brings us to the T-shaped pillars themselves. I mean, why this specific design? Were they purely functional, or did they hold like a deeper symbolic meaning?
I remember the source material mentioning that some researchers believe those pillars, they represent stylized human forms.
Mm.
The T shape, maybe it symbolizes the head and arms.
Yeah.
While the carvings on the lower portion, maybe they represent clothing or adornments.
It's a tantalizing possibility, and it adds another layer of complexity to the site. You
Right.
know, if those pillars do represent humans, then Göbekli becomes more than just a collection of structures.
Right.
It becomes a portrayal of the relationship between humans and the natural world, perhaps even a glimpse into their spiritual beliefs.
And that's just scratching the surface. I mean,
Yeah.
we haven't even touched on the astronomical alignments, the deliberately buried rooms, or the countless unanswered questions that continue to tantalize, archaeologists.
I know. Göbekli it's a site that just keeps on giving. Yeah.
With every new discovery, with every new interpretation, we gain a deeper appreciation for the ingenuity and complexity of our ancestors.
I'm already itching to hear more.
I know.
What other secrets does Göbekli hold?
Oh, so many.
We've been on quite a journey exploring Göbekli.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
It's like stepping into a time machine,
I know.
witnessing the dawn of civilization.
It really is.
But amidst all this incredible discovery,
Yeah.
I'm left with even more questions.
That's the beauty of archaeology, isn't it? I mean, every answer just leads to more questions, pushing us to dig deeper, re-examine what we thought we knew.
One thing that really struck me is this idea that Göbekli might have served multiple purposes over time. Like
Right,
it could have been a shelter, a temple, an astronomical observatory, even a social hub, all rolled into one.
Absolutely. It's certainly plausible. The source material never says, it was exclusively one thing or the other.
Yeah. And societies and their needs evolve, and it's totally possible that Göbekli adapted along with the people who built it.
But if it was such a vital part of their lives, why was it eventually abandoned?
Right.
And why go through the effort of deliberately burying those rooms?
Yeah.
It's like they were intentionally sealing away a part of their history.
That's a mystery that has sparked so many theories. Some suggest maybe it was a symbolic act, perhaps signify like a shift in beliefs or a transition to a new era. Imagine like a ritualistic burial,
Right.
a way of honoring the past as they moved forward.
It's almost like closing a chapter in a book.
Yeah.
But instead of just turning the page, they carefully tucked it away for safekeeping.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Another theory points to environmental factors. The source material mentions changes in soil composition. And these changes were caused by, rainfall patterns, changes in those patterns. And it's possible those changes made the site less hospitable or less suitable for their needs.
So perhaps they simply adapted to a changing environment, finding new locations that better suited their evolving lifestyle.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's also worth thinking about the sheer scale and complexity of Göbekli.
Right.
Maintaining such a massive site would have required a lot of resources, a lot of manpower.
Of course.
And perhaps as their society evolved, they just shifted their focus to other priorities.
It makes you wonder what those priorities might have been.
Right.
Did they develop new technologies? Did their social structures change?
Yeah.
Did they, move further afield, exploring new territories?
These are all questions that archaeologists are still trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Göbekli has given us this tantalizing glimpse into the past.
Right.
But there are still so many mysteries waiting to be unraveled.
What truly fascinates me is how this discovery has completely upended our understanding of early human civilization.
Yeah.
We tend to think of progress as this linear path, but Göbekli shows us that our ancestors were capable of incredible feats, long before we thought possible.
It challenges our assumptions about what hunter-gatherer societies were capable of.
Right.
And it forces us to reconsider, the timeline of human development.
Yeah.
It's a humbling reminder that there's still so much we we just don't know about our past.
And what does all this mean for us, the listeners? I mean,
Yeah.
why should we care about a bunch of ancient stones buried in the Turkish countryside?
Göbekli it's more than just an archaeological site.
Right.
It's a testament to human ingenuity, creativity, resilience. It reminds us that our species has this long and fascinating history full of surprises, unexpected twists and turns.
It's like we've been handed a puzzle, with most of the pieces missing. But even those few pieces have revealed a picture that's both breathtaking and thought-provoking.
Exactly. It's a reminder to stay curious.
Yeah.
To keep questioning, to never underestimate the potential of the human spirit.
Yeah.
Who knows what other secrets are hidden beneath the sands of time, just waiting to be discovered and rewrite history as we know it.
That's the thrill of the deep dive, isn't it?
That's it.
Uncovering those hidden gems of knowledge and expanding our understanding of ourselves and the world around us.
Absolutely. So the next time you look up at the stars,
Yeah.
think about those ancient sky watchers at Göbekli Tepe mapping the heavens, building monuments that would stand the test of time.
Wow.
Their legacy, it lives on, inspiring us to explore, to discover, and to never stop questioning the mysteries of the past.
Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey to Göbekli Tepe.
Oh.
We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the dawn of civilization. Until next time, keep exploring.